we will discuss the questions related to caste and village studies today. Is it okay? Because you have test on Sunday, and let us get prepared for that. Okay. So caste and village studies. Okay, under village studies, the Jajmani system and contemporary market economy. Jajmani system and contemporary market economy. So tell me, what do you write under this?
So Jajmani system not based on demand, caste-based occupation, wherein one family is associated with higher families. Yeah.
So you will explain Jajmani system and also explain how things are changing. Okay. Tell me what village studies we did in this context. Let me tell you, because you are attending common classes, except anthro thought, archaeology, archaeology is taught by somebody else, physical anthropology taught by somebody else, Nishant and Rasekar. Among the classes I am teaching, except in anthro thought, in all other and tribal India, in all other areas, sociology is much superior. So we are doing much more extensively. So you use all that here. Jajmani system and contemporary market economy. Which village studies we have done here? Tell me. And will you quote those village studies?
Yeah, British era time. How?
No, we have done 2 Indian sociologists or anthropologists work. Who are they? Unmute and
Gandhi and Ambedkar, sir.
MN Srinivas and Gurye.
No, village studies. Even lesson headline was village studies. Why are you not able to recollect? Who are
Andrew Patel and Dipankar.
Exactly. Andrew Patel and Dipankar Gupta.
Okay.
Village study.
Okay.
Of course, MN Srinivas study of dominant caste also can be taken as a village study. Yes, MN Srinivas can be included, Andrew Patel can be included, and Dipankar Gupta can be included. The difference between Dipankar Gupta and other these two is that Dipankar Gupta gave most recent picture. Okay. Dipankar Gupta gave most recent picture. Is it clear? For example, next, impact of industrialization on India's villages, on the economic and social aspects of it. Same thing. Impact of industrialization on the economic and social aspects of villages. Take the question. Impact of industrialization on the economic and social aspects. India's villages. Impact of industrialization on the economic and social aspects of India's villages. So tell me, which study again? Unmute and speak.
Dipankar.
Dipankar Gupta. Okay. MN Srinivas, Dipankar Gupta, Andrew Bitley, and your overall understanding. Let me tell you, there are some people who are writing test series who have been taking coaching anthropology for 3-4 years. Answers are so poor. They just cut and paste of specific material. They don't have overall picture. You have overall picture. Okay. Anthro preparation often was like some cut and paste, some way extremely cheap guides are being available, are made available. You have a total and comprehensive picture, solid theoretical foundation. Please make use of it. Okay. So Andrew Bitley, MN Srinivas, and Dipankar Gupta. These three under village studies. Is it clear? Market economy and rural villages, same. Next, agrarian social structure. Take this. Agrarian social structure. Agrarian social structure.
Sir, by same, do you mean we can use the same points in these three questions?
Same points. Same points. It was amazing that within 9 classes we covered so much because there was huge depth. Cut and paste, remember, not only being done by the students, but it's done by the teachers also. A teaching should enable you, not give the material and everything comes from the material. What's all that? A teacher should enable. This is what I did was enabling process. So in agrarian social structure, you just think, what is a social structure? Social structure is nothing but a framework. I said skeleton of a body, X-ray of a body is like social structure. Agrarian. So what is that about? Village. What is the social structure? Caste, class. That's all. And interaction, Jajmani, and what is happening? That's all. An agrarian social structure, you should be able to write 1200 words, 2500 words, anything that. But let me tell you, many anthropology students, when they say agrarian social structure, they say, what is social structure? Agrarian. Because they don't have a holistic understanding. It's all cut and paste. Because they don't study books. It is tragic. And let me tell you, only anthropology is like that. Please don't think all other options are like this now. It's pathetic. How it became like that, we don't know. I mean, certain historical circumstances we can look at it later. But anthropology is that such a tragedy now. Okay, agrarian social structure, the meaning of social structure and agrarian village, caste, class, village, that's all. But remember, it is the same information, but you should always tune to the requirements of the question. Give names. You can do exceedingly well. Exceedingly well. I'm too sure of this. Okay. Same thing. Impact of market economy on the Jajmani. Shall I tell you the tragedy? Take this question. Traditional pattern of settlement in Indian village. Tell me what is the answer to this question? Traditional pattern of settlements in Indian village.
Sir, how villages were organized, untouchables were out of the village.
How?
I mean, the untouchables were segregated out of the village.
Then how about caste? Various other castes? Isn't that Vaishyas have one place and Kammas have another place and
Right.
caste-wise segregation, interaction and untouchability rules, and why there is so. And shall I tell you the tragedy of these people who are writing the test series? All of them wrote settlement pattern as a circular pattern, helical pattern, and things like that. Do you know where they got it? Somebody taught that the settlement pattern in geography as just literally lifted. So there is settlement pattern in the teacher may have such a settlement pattern in village geography material, and they dictate it to anthropology students, and that's what they wrote. Teachers don't know the difference between geography and anthropology. That's what it is. Settlement pattern in anthropology or sociology is about caste, not circular, semicircular, helical. What is all that? That's about home distribution. And also, let me tell you that always answer the question from the totality. Settlement pattern, you write from caste system. Answers that I go through them, they're so fragmented and limited. I mean, partly because of poor understanding and partly because not knowing that you should link to the total picture. Settlement pattern is an outcome of caste, outcome of pollution. Tell me, will you write about Dumont here? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right, that's what it is. It's not geography at all. People have given diagrams of so many patterns from geography book. Always link it to the totality. Link it to the totality. Do you know what the teachers do is they just see the syllabus and one line and dictate 250 words. I said my approach is, what is all this? These are the questions. To answer these questions, what should they know? And what they should know, maybe in the syllabus or outside the syllabus. That's how I approach. It is not by every word in the syllabus. Somebody was asking, sir, what you are saying, which word in the syllabus? There need not be any word in the syllabus. The other questions. What makes good answers? And what knowledge is needed to make good answers? Why do you go by the syllabus? There is a correlation, of course. But finally, what you have to write are the questions. And what makes a good answer? And to make good answer, is everything mentioned in the syllabus or you should go outside the syllabus? I found going outside the syllabus helps. Periyar, Jyotiba Phule. If you write all of them, they will think these are creative answers. They are right. So what we have done in 9 classes is a remarkable thing. You can just crack the paper, shock the examiner. But then to every question, link it to the total. Link to the total, link to the total. I can tell you one thing. You can be supremely confident at the end of the course. You have understood things. I am 100% sure about that. It's a matter of how well you translate your understanding to exam performance. There you need to know certain issues and constraints. That's all. But if you are following cut and paste, you can't really reveal your superior understanding. Come to the total picture, bring to the total picture. Turn their ignorance into your strength. They will do cut and paste. You don't. Give a total picture. So caste, village, and even we link it to religion and then the political process, they're all interlinked. And the essence of anthropology is interlinking only. Anthropology is holistic. The essence is holism. It is through interlinking you get. Is it clear? That's all. Traditional pattern. Next, explain Indian village as a social system. Indian village as a social system. As a social system. Indian village as a social system. So tell me.
Again, Dumont.
Exactly. You can include demo also. Demo. Whenever you are talking about pollution, you include demo. But here more specifically, Indian village as a social system means how it is self-contained, autonomous. Okay. And then after that, things started changing. Again, under village studies. Do you know the way the book classifies the previous questions in itself is an examination guide? Because I put them under one, in one particular way, where from the some common material you get an insight. That's how I classify it. This classification itself is helpful. Okay, now see, look at this. People see, look at this so clear. See, what is Jajmani system, and examine the views on Jajmani system as an egalitarian as well as exploitative system. Give reasons for decline. See, examine Jajmani. Examine Jajmani as exploitative or egalitarian. Examine. And reasons for decline. Tell me specifically whom you will include here. Gayatri, please unmute when you are speaking. Unmute. Why is the question not clear?
Yes, sir, it's clear. Dumont and Srinivas.
Dumont and MN Srinivas. But MN Srinivas, did MN Srinivas talk about exploitative? Gayatri, just unmute.
No, sir, he did not talk about it.
Then Who is the thinker whom we covered, who called it exploitative? You refuse to use class knowledge. You have a very, very clear, narrow definition of anthropology.
No, sir. No, I had a narrow definition. After ethics and everything, I'm again listening classes and revising. I want to use
But
them.
how about this? Tell me, you attended the classes. Exploitative and egalitarian. Only one word, please. I'm not second chance. After that, Nikhil will answer. Or Sweta.
The marks.
Sir Ambedkar.
Ah. Why don't you think of Ambedkar? Debate between Gandhi and Ambedkar was that only. Division of labor versus division of laborers. Gandhi saying it was egalitarian, but it was distorted. Direct question on Gandhi and Ambedkar. But how many anthro students do Gandhi and Ambedkar? Ambedkar. Anthropology, when you are reading anthropology, you excluded Ambedkar. Only MNC. Anthropology is holistic. That is a defining feature of anthropology. Holistic. People ask, sir, how is the anthro answer different from JS answer? The difference is holism. Of course, they do read holism is a feature of anthropology when they're reading the first chapter. They do the first chapter first and after that forget. You need not do first chapter. When you do entire anthropology, you come back to first chapter, you will know what it is. Why do you read first chapter again? Holism. What is holism? Caste, class, religion, settlement, politics, economy. Linking is holism. Ambedkar, very clear example. And here, give quotations. Division of labor, no, division of laborers. Gandhi, this system is against law. Which law he was talking about? Give quotations. Start with the quotations. So Narayana Guru, Periyar, Gandhi, Ambedkar, these are all the people who contributed to theorizing of caste. Okay. Next, Panchayati Raj as a facilitator of social inclusion in rural society. Panchayati Raj as a facilitator of social inclusion in rural society. As a facilitator of social inclusion in a rural society. You will use GS plus whom else will you use?
Gandhi's idea.
GS plus and repeat like. But how is it a facilitator of social inclusion?
Sir, reservations are there for women, 33%.
Okay, but how else is a social inclusion? What was? Huh?
Ram Sabha.
Sir, yes, involvement of Ram Sabha.
No. So just 1 second. Facilitator of social inclusion. What was excluding before and now? How could inclusion be possible?
Political.
Everyone is getting right to vote.
Right to vote is already there.
No. I mean, before in the village, it was
I
not
was-
everyone.
Before in the village, not everything.
Everyone didn't get it. It was only a few who had the say, the economic powerful, and the social Brahmins.
Okay. Okay. And what happened to that economic power? What was the basis of economic power?
Land reforms degraded them.
Exactly. So how could PR be successful? Land down. If everything was there, introduce PR, will it make any difference? No. Again, that's what holism is. So which studies will you include?
Any basin.
And
Then Dipankar also.
yes, sir. Most people, I'll tell you what people do. Panchayati Raj, they'll see one material, Panchayati Raj, and some, oh, and then they will complain, there's not enough material on Panchayati Raj. Do you have enough material? She told me all these points, I will write. They have explained so clearly. How could PR be effective? Because some tremendous change is going on in economic sphere. That economic sphere is land related change. And when the land related change was going on, the control systems were crumbling because the entire control system was based on land before. That's what Andrew said. That's what Dipankar Gupta said. And you go by quotations, control systems going down, crumbling. And then when these things were crumbling, Panchayati Raj provided the facilitator. If economy was not crumbling, Panchayati Raj might not have made difference. Which means village studies. So what you are doing is that when you are in Panchayat Raj, you are going, your mind exactly going to the material on Panchayat Raj. And when you are GS means Panchayat Raj under Lakshmikant. Panchayat Raj under Lakshmikant. Just let me tell you, pay attention to the question first and probe, ask broader questions. Then material will come. This is a very powerful technique. Student usually Panchayat Raj, his mind goes exactly to those few paras of Panchayat Raj read under material. No, but those few paras will provide a core information. But that is not the only thing. Remember, how are those few paras produced? It is a part of the total. It's part of the material, part of the textbook. As in a part of the textbook, Panchayat Raj is mentioned in two paras. So how do you carry the textbook also to your answer? The author might have said Panchayati Raj has become powerful because other things are happening. Tell me, what is social inclusion here? Which kind of inclusions will you include? Only two. One answer, please. Sweta? Only one attempt.
So social inclusion means like caste was diminishing.
No, just two words. Use two words. No, not even sentences. Cost of diminishing. Next. Gender.
Gender.
Did you think?
No.
Gender. Caste and gender. For everything, think of these two things. Caste and gender. Non-controversial, social inclusion, gender. And gender meant modernization, Panchayat Raj reservations, westernization, all those things. Democracy, equality, so much. Do you know, never ask, this should be for 250 marks and do I have 250 words and do I have 250 words? Not like that. You should be in a position to say anything. You should be in a position to write 1,000 words, 1,500 words, like that. Then you write in 250 words. The flexibility in word limit comes when you have a total understanding. In cut and paste, for a 250 word answer, you need 250 word material. For 100 word answer, you need 100 word material. That is a cut and paste technology. Because there is no production in that process. There is no generation. But if you have a total picture, you can generate. You can generate so much and you can condense. That comes from understanding. Whereas teacher said this comes only for 150 words. Now I am giving you 150 words. 150 words. 150 words over. Remember, even if the questions are repetitive, they're not exactly the same thing. There is tuning is required. Tuning is required and placing in overall context is required. And that calls for understanding. Tuning calls for variation, more. You can't write 250 word answer from 250 word material. No. You cannot tune. So tuning is required and then totality. Is it clear? So social inclusion, gender, caste. From caste, you have so many things. And gender is a result of modernization process. It's not because of decline in land ownership. It's modernization, westernization, education, democracy, all these things. And Panchayati Raj. So remember, Panchayati Raj could be successful because it's acting on many other developments. Okay. Social inclusion, social change, democracy, always two variables, caste and gender. Okay. Same thing, the impact of Panchayati Raj in rural areas, PRA and social change. Identify the theoretical concepts that have emerged out of village studies in India. Wow. Write this. This would be considered a difficult question again. Identify theoretical concepts that have emerged out of village studies in India. Identify theoretical concepts that have emerged out of village studies in India. It would be considered a difficult question. Theoretical concepts that have emerged out of village studies in India. Try to find out what are the theoretical concepts. Which study, whom will you consider first? Which thinker will you consider?
Andre Bhatti.
You can even start with M.N. Srinivas. M.N. Srinivas brought what are the concepts?
Sanskritization, westernization.
Exactly. Dominant caste. Dominant caste pertains to village. Sanskritization is emulation. But again, the student may find this difficult because he will think of under village studies. He will narrowly work under village studies. He won't think of M.N. Srinivas, as if M.N. Srinivas didn't work on villages. Dominant caste is about village structure. Sanskritization is about emulation. Next, Andrew Betley. Dispersion of three variables. Caste, class, power. Deepankar Gupta. Caste assertion. Identity is being asserted, though hierarchy down. Which means from all these three studies, the theoretical concepts form an answer to this question. because it's all about identifying theoretical concepts that have village studies. Village studies, who are these people? Okay, what did they do? What are the concepts? That's all. By theory, again, one thing I can tell you is that to every question, there is some specificity. You always need to tune. You can't say, I'll just write about Emerson was, and not like that. It's about theoretical concepts. Dominant caste, Sanskritization, dispersion of three variables, caste assertion. So what are the theoretical points they are making? You're right. It makes a great answer, let me tell you, because most students have no clue to what that question is about. So when you understand totally, you write from the context and you tune. Remember tuning, tuning, tuning. Only through tuning you can say you are writing relevant answers, please. Often, it is simply widening the meaning of certain phrases and words. That is the clue to the examination performance. People have an extremely narrow view of that particular word. Okay, but if you just widen it up, you see what all can come under that, then whole world is open. Is it clear? Next, impact of globalization of the village economy in India. Most people will say we have not studied on globalization and there is not enough material on globalization. Tell me, do we have material on globalization? Did we study extensively? What is the study? No, globalization, recently. Globalization. We even use the word globalization of the village economy. Impact of globalization on village economy. You take the question, think about it. Impact of globalization on village economy in India. I'm giving a opportunity to make an attempt. We did it. Sunil, your attempt.
Sir,
Did we do this topic or not?
yes, sir.
Did we do this topic or not?
Yes, sir, we did.
Who? Under whom?
Sir, Dipankar.
Exactly. The problem here is that when they think of globalization, they think of IMF, WTO, and World Bank. And they think of what is World Bank doing to do with village economy. Not like that. So much of liberalization happened, industries set up, industries moved towards towns and villages, informal economy generated, non-farm employment created. Okay, and the shift is taking place. This is what Dipankar Gupta studied. All that is globalization. And even he said many export industries have come up. It is the towns that are growing and not the cities. That's what globalization is. Is it clear? So most of the village change is going on because of this non-farm employment. Non-farm employment, recent increase in non-farm employment is due to globalization. So it is basically, you don't think of globalization as WTO, IMF, World Bank. Globalization is about an economic process of interconnectedness and finally how it is touching the village. And that is what Deepankar Gupta did. Is it clear? Do you see, we are using the same study. Examiner need not know, we only know very little. Okay, M.N. Srinivas, Andrew Betley, Deepankar Gupta. Then coming to activist, Phule, Ambedkar, Periyar, Narayan Guru, Gandhi. You don't need more than that. And Dumont, and Weber, and Marx. We don't need more than them, that's true.
Sir, for
Just
this
one
question.
second. Just 1 second. Under that exploitative, you can also give a theoretical perspective of Marx versus functionalist perspective. Okay. You can. Exploitation, it is not only Ambedkar, a Marxist also would look like that. It is like this. You need not confine to Indian context, you can go to paper one context, general theoretical framework. Vishal.
So since this globalization question is in the book, it's for around 15 marks. So if what could be the structure if we are answering for
anything, globalization of the Indian village, impact of globalization of the village economy, it is the impact. It is not about globalization. Okay, thank you for raising this question. People may think this is on globalization. This is not on globalization. This is on impact of globalization. What is globalization here? Industries are coming to villages. Non-farm employment is created. Is what the only point that is relevant. And what is the impact? A big story. Is it clear? It is like that. How is it a big story? Non-farm employment. Non-farm employment, what is happening to the caste structure? Okay. And then think what is happening to the land value. Remember, something will hurt you more if already the structure was weakened. Already the structure was weakening. We discussed Panchayati Raj also. Panchayati Raj more effective. Why? Structure weakened. Globalization more effective. Why? Land weakened. Like that. Weakening, something is going on in this thing. And remember, don't think in terms of number of words. I'm not asking, you shouldn't ask questions like that. You should ask, but you shouldn't be in a position to think in terms of number of words. Your understanding should be flexible, that you write as much as you want. If you want to write globalization, then so much about globalization. Why globalization happened, liberalization, privatization, so much. And finally, this is what it is. You can write so much. So Deepankar Gupta's entire essay can be looked at from the prism of globalization and village. How this has become effective because land power down, weakening, and now this. And then you can also think of the upper caste. What are upper caste doing because of globalization? They're migrating to urban occupations. Going to US is globalization. Government job is globalization. How is that? Because land value down and people have to move to non-agricultural incomes. Industrialization is globalization. So this is about unfreezing, widening the meanings. But the same thing about globalization in a GS, it would be different. It could be more specific on WTO, IMF, or recent trade deal. That could be different. But this is in the context of village economy, globalization. Basically, non-agricultural economy touching the village, whereas agriculture dwindling. So what will be its impact on caste system, control systems, jajmani systems, and impact on the upper caste, impact on the lower caste? If you think like that, you won't ask for how many words, because you can write so much. Is it clear? This is the approach you should have. Not for how many words, not like that. Understand a small thing as a part of the bigger picture. Then extend. You have so much to write. That's how this approach is different from cut and paste approach. In cut and paste, you are not enabled. You are not enabled. There is no flexibility. Each question can be a threat to you. But in this approach, questions are not a threat. You have a total understanding and you pay attention to the small variables and tuning. That's all. So Dipankar Gupta's can be on Panchayati Raj, it can be on globalization, it can be about social inclusion, it can be about caste assertion, it is about new future of caste. Anything can be written from Dipankar Gupta's essay. Because after all, it covered all the aspects and most recent. Tuning, never ignore tuning. Is it clear? Otherwise, people have problems. What do you study under Panchayati Raj? What do you study under globalization? What is there to study? Nothing much. Of course, many Anthro students don't do Dipankar Gupta itself. That is a problem. Village studies. So describe the significant contribution of village studies in India to the understanding of social transformation. Same question. All this is it. Impact of green revolution on rural poor. How has globalization impacted agrarian relations in the last? Same question. Impact of green revolution on rural poor. Right. This. Globalization and agrarian relations. Same question. Impact of green revolution on rural poor. What is the impact of green revolution? Now you can see environmental impact. Excessive use, pollution, and agricultural crisis. And rural poor got affected, many of them. Right? You can talk about agricultural crisis.
Sir, also the advent of new technology like somehow deprived the rural farmers, like totally accepting it immediately.
Okay, maybe we can look at in the early stage. Okay, here do a few words on Green Revolution. Green Revolution was actually not scale neutral. I mean, Green Revolution is helpful on any scale, on 1 acre or 5 acres. But what happened in the beginning was that though it was not scale neutral, it was not not resource neutral. Though it was scale neutral, it was not resource neutral. You need more resources to make it successful. So those who had resources got maximum benefit, and particularly in certain areas, and those who did not have resources didn't get benefit. So more land, money, fertilizers, pesticide, water. Okay. And then it was specific to certain crops like wheat and rice. So uneven impact on areas, on people happened because of Green Revolution. For example, Punjab became prosperous. I'm doing in general, not this question. Punjab became prosperous, coastal belt became prosperous. Wheat, rice, water facilities, and then so certain areas. And resource when they were poor, when they didn't have resources, not much benefited. Okay, that was how Green Revolution story started. That was the thing. So people used to discuss about inequalities generated by Green Revolution. Okay, I think that is slightly outdated. What is happening now is that environmental destruction, loss of livelihood, the entire agriculture is in crisis, and rural poor, even worse, suicides, and taking to wage labor. I would say this is the thing.
Also, the land fertility,
Land
the
fertility,
effect on land.
land fertility down. So becoming wage laborers. If it is at a lower middle class, much worse. At least at a higher level, they are in a position to sustain the shocks. That is why suicide rates are much higher at lower levels. So this is how I would frame the answer. So talk about more recent crisis and crisis in terms of agriculture. We will also do recent bills and issues.
Sir, for me, this question, I understood in the ways of intensive agriculture and how it brought classes. So that is wrong.
Which one? Intensive agriculture.
No, sir. For this question, impact of Green Revolution, I thought it in terms of intensive agriculture brought classes, and so that impact I was looking at. So
No.
that is wrong.
No. Green Revolution refers to more recent developments, 70s. Not intensive agriculture. No. Green Revolution happened during Indira Gandhi's time and after that. It is the Green Revolution that you read in general studies, not this agriculture. No. We did not do media, so there won't be any questions on media. We didn't cover entire social change. Please, Pisha.
So what Sunil pointed out, I think we can also include the class aspect. Maybe it has increased the class gap, the Green Revolution, as you mentioned.
That is true. I mean, that was the story. Maybe examiner expected that, but now everybody is in a crisis. This is the thing now. See, basically, farmers are saying laborers are better off because they have wage income, and farmers are not going for wages. And so, agricultural crisis is the defining thing of contemporary India. Agricultural crisis, and not the poor, not the lower classes, not the class conflict. Agricultural crisis. Syllabus needs to be updated. For example, political science syllabus doesn't have climate change. I don't know what that is about. That is the most defining feature of world relations. So green revolution and inequalities is outdated. Of course, that was asked in 2013, but even by that time, it is outdated. Agricultural crisis is the issue now. Agricultural crisis. Deepankar Gupta's article is apt. He captured the crisis. Though he may not have explained, but that is what the villages are. Class conflict is outdated now. I mean, agricultural class conflict, because the entire agriculture is in crisis. So what is more recent issue is agriculture versus industry, town versus village. It is not about conflict across classes. You just talk to people from village. It is the upper caste and upper classes are complaining. They are feeling the pressure. Not the lowest. The lowest are happy with the change. They're happy. New opportunities, new assertions. Far better off. The upper classes are feeling the pain. It's changed. Lower classes were hugely benefited. Let me tell you one very important two aspects of social change is that lower castes are hugely benefited and women benefited. These two. It is the previous authoritarian classes that suffered. Okay. Gender improvement and lower caste improvement. Dalit improvement is huge. And the worst news is environment, I would say. I think summary, these three. Caste plus, gender plus, and environment minus. I would say religion also is minus, but then you need not focus on it in this examination. Okay, caste is a huge plus, gender is a huge plus, and environment is a huge minus. This is the summary of India's social change. Okay. Media we will do separately. I didn't do media, so I won't be including any questions. So next, come to caste. For example, this question will be considered very difficult in anthropology. Discuss social stratification according to any three major approaches. According to any three major approaches. Marxian approach, Weberian approach. In fact, there is one approach which we didn't do, which is called functional approach. We will do later. Or you can include Gandhi then, functionalism. Gandhi also comes under functionalism, but
Dumont also comes under functionalism. Dumont.
Okay, fine, Dumont. Include Dumont, fine. Marx, Weber, and Dumont from what we covered. Marx.
Sir, why not Risley?
That is true. But that is not about stratification. Risley is about caste, not stratification. Risley didn't say about this is how stratification comes. This is how caste comes. Don't equate stratification with caste. Stratification is a bigger thing. And of course, if that is the case, then how do you include Dumont? That is why I suggest functional approach. We will do it later. Okay, this is least expected in anthropology paper. Three approaches are there. One is functionalist approach, which we will do. Okay. So you can't, just 1 second. You can't include caste theories because caste is a case of stratification. It is not stratification. You can't equate stratification with caste because stratification includes class and caste. So we'll do functionalist theory of stratification and then we can include Davis and Moore. We'll do it later. Okay. Stratification is a bigger picture, class and caste. Dumont did not talk about stratification. Dumont talked about caste. Gandhi talked about caste. Ambedkar talked about caste. So caste theories cannot be theories of stratification. But Marx, stratification. Weber, stratification. We just need one more Davis and Moore, which we do.
Sir, in the guide which all toppers suggest, there is this divine origin theory of caste into that answer.
This is not about caste.
To this answer, it is they given the.
Let me tell you, Other options are not like this. We traced how history, the coaching became, somebody in Hyderabad started in a particular way, and that notes became standard, and teachers somehow stopped or never read books from that material, generating and going about filling gaps. That's how it became like that. And maybe universities don't have much of anthropology. Somehow anthropology became like this. In other sciences, in other subjects, you don't see those cheap guides. You don't see it like that. Only in anthropology is like this. So please don't follow. You push the standards. You push the standards. Let me tell you in thought also, I don't think people know anything other than classic evolutionism, diffusionism, or maximum functionalism. This book explains many abstract things, but this book hasn't become popular. I don't know why. Only this book explains. There is a consensus on the material that you don't have to understand. That people write what is common and get evaluated and rewarded, everything. So
Since they get rewarded also, no?
yeah, because examiners also are going by those guides only, or material. I want to know from any anthro thought book. I mean, because the publisher, I thought I did a great work by this, made a major contribution. But publisher said Gaya and Pandey is the best textbook. And there are no concepts explained. I mean, I don't think any thinker, any writer knew what is the social structure in Radcliffe Brown's theory, or what is the structure in Levi-Strauss, or what is cognitive, what is interpreted. They're clueless. And I thought this book would be a hit, and it didn't become a hit. Why? Because people have understood you don't have to understand to get scores. There is a consensus. It is shocking. But let me tell you, only anthropology is like that, like this. Sociology is not like this. So something is happening here. So social stratification. What are the basis of social stratification? Discuss with examples. We have discussed class, status, and power, or resilience oriented. Examine the theories of origins of caste. You can do origins of caste. What are the theories of origins of caste?
Sure.
And Kure, and then say some people have proposed divine origin because you're saying theories of origin and Dumont's theory, and you can offer critique. Okay, examine the theories, which means all kinds of theories can be included and examined. Divine origin also can be one theory. Okay, Dumont also is one theory. Racial origins is one theory. Structural and cultural theories we discussed. Sanskritization, MSN was dominant caste we discussed. Next one question. Comment on linkage between gender and caste. Linkage between gender and caste. Okay. Linkage between gender and caste.
Immense Srinivas,
Exactly.
Sanskritization, and
Sanskritization links and westernization.
Westernization.
Include Sanskritization, westernization. Under Sanskritization, what is the link? Higher caste where
Worsen, position degraded.
westernization, higher caste
Improved.
can be the caste and gender are linked. Dominant caste, we did lot in this. Sanskritization, features of dominance, Dumont. Yes, this is one very difficult question. I mean, anthro students should find this really difficult if they pay attention to the question. Take this. Discuss the view that caste is not social stratification but a system of hierarchy. Not a system of stratification, but a system of hierarchy. Caste is not a system of stratification, but a system of hierarchy. I am sure that this question should be found to be very difficult if they pay attention to the question.
Dumo can explain this, sir. Does Dumo explain this?
Basically, I mean, what Dumo thought was, Dumo didn't think that caste is a system of exploitation or even exploitation and domination. Dumo thought caste system is based on purity, and due to Dumo there is a hierarchy. But how is hierarchy defined in Dumo's case? Hierarchy is a relationship of a part with the whole. This hand, left hand, is not hierarchically inferior to right hand. Right hand and left hand are two different things. So Dumo thought caste is like that. Caste is simply, he used the word hierarchy. He used the word hierarchy, but hierarchy to mean relationship of part with the whole. Hierarchy to mean relationship of part with the whole. So that's how he used the word hierarchy. Okay, so actually, Dumo thought there is hierarchy, but hierarchy defined differently, and not a system of stratification, domination. So what did he think to be the basis of stratification? Sorry, base of caste system? Purity. So this is an indirect question on, it is a direct question on Dumo. People may not be able to identify that this is on Dumo, and then they may not understand what is this system of hierarchy, but not social stratification. Okay. Dumo's explanation of caste system. Next, relevance of caste in contemporary Indian politics. Caste in contemporary Indian politics. We discussed this much. Role of caste system in the present political context. Political system strengthening caste system. We discussed. Caste persists in contemporary India. Salient features of problem. Okay. Critically discuss the constitutional safeguards for scheduled castes. This we didn't do, in social class. Tell me which constitutional safeguards, you can do it from any polity book. Constitutional safeguards for scheduled castes.
Reservation in legislatures.
That's why, but you start from
Article 17.
17.
Safeguards. You do this from polity. Anyway, when we are doing ST, I will include SCs also. So untouchability related provisions, and 16, 14, and tell me minority rights. Minorities have the right to protect their culture. Will it be a constitutional safeguard for SC? Right to protect culture.
Yes, sir.
How?
Because the majority minority distinction is not seen.
So is SC like a minority?
Not SC. Everybody has, and SC.
We talk about SC. It is not.
It's not minority, but he can protect his.
No, they are not trying to protect their rights at all. So culture of SCs is considered inferior and exploitative. They are rejecting it. They're rejecting it. So they want the freedom to change rather than their identity asserting, but culture changing. So that minority rights are applicable to STs rather than SCs. STs, minority rights, right to protect culture, right to preserve culture. But culture of SCs is an expression of exploitation. So they are changing it. They are changing it. For example, anyway, let me see how you interpret. Culture of SCs is a manifestation of exploitation. Explain. Tell me, where will you explain this? What is the material you will use?
Religion.
No, not religion. But more specifically, can you generate certain points to say, yes, their culture is different?
So can you repeat the question?
Culture of Dalits show the manifestation of unequal relationship and exploitation, or manifested, I mean, reveal the inequalities across castes.
Scavenging tannery.
Where do you get the material? Tell me.
Can you talk about Ambedkar?
No, even more specifically. We give specific examples.
Phule.
No. Specific examples across regions.
Occupational.
Forms of untouchability. Ghure's description. In which house they should live. Whether they can wear ravika. Whether they can wear umbrella. How they should walk. Where they can spit. To which part of the city they can go. Forms of untouchability. This is the culture that is forced on them. Okay. Is it clear? And tell me, when they want to change culture, others will hurt, others will wound. Tell me, which examples will you give?
So they cannot.
Where they wanted to try to change the culture, when one clear case study, and upper caste went and have beaten them.
Sir, Ejava
Phule.
Shiva wala.
No yes case. When they wore sacred thread en masse, they were beaten. And then they started wearing sacred thread one by one. It's about resistance.
Sir, Ejava Shiva also, no?
Huh?
Ejava Shiva. Narayan Guru.
Shiva, yes, Shiva. And why Ambedkar statue? So basically, lower caste want to change and upper caste resist. In fact, so much of caste-related conflict between lower caste and upper caste. Lower caste want to change and upper caste don't want the lower caste to change. So lower caste want to assert their identity, but not their culture. They want to change the culture, but assert identity. Are you following? Identity is not the same thing as culture. Because lower caste culture is a culture of exploitation. They don't want. So identity assertion, cultural change. These are the things that they want. And of course, empowerment. And tell me, change of religion aspect of change. Who discusses religion aspect of change?
Phule.
Huh? Which study?
Phule study.
Phule. Phule was the, recently people are changing. Tell me, which examples can you give from what we studied? These people are changing these religious forms of expression. Where did we study? Deepankar Gupta. You think of Deepankar Gupta only when you think of village study.
Basically, content is not yet internalized, sir. You cannot recollect.
Fine. You need to internalize. 6 going to particular Gurudwaras, constructing their own Gurudwaras, Ravi Gurudas, and then we said Jambavantudu. These are various forms. And Ambedkar as a secular god. These are various forms. Which means cultural change is being attempted, but identity being asserted, and economic and political empowerment. These are the things. And question on future of caste. What is likely to be the future of caste? Hierarchy down, exploitation down, but assertion up. That is the future. Politicization up, future. Religion change, future. All the things that we discussed in terms of change show what would be the future. So make the distinction. Caste system means about hierarchy, about assertion, about cultural change, economic and political, all these things. Is it clear? Next, social disabilities suffered by scheduled castes. Discuss the social disabilities. Where did we discuss more specifically? Forms of untouchability.
Guriya.
Yes. Next, it says OBCs among non-Hindu communities. We will discuss when we do religion. A backward class. We did backward class. Okay. Tell me, what do you know about OBCs? Okay, let OBCs. We discussed this, but let me. OBCs. What is the theoretical view of OBCs? For a theoretical view, first start with Varna. OBC refer to Sudras. Sudras. And within the Sudras, enormous variation, even dominant caste coming to Sudras. And that is why there is ambiguity regarding OBCs. And then the concept of mandal reservations and contestation. And now OBC is becoming more powerful numerically. And how they got into power. This is what the story in brief about OBCs. So link it to the Shudra concept, political empowerment, numbers are on their side, and recent reservations and changes. This is about Hindus. We'll discuss what is happening among Christians and Muslims when we do religion. Tribe caste we have not covered, so we won't include in the exam. Great tradition and little tradition also we have not covered. We won't include. We will include only the things that we discussed. Okay, now tell me any questions. So is it clear? So caste and village studies, you can take the test on Sunday. Any questions on this unit? So memorize, internalize, remember the names, remember certain quotations, and tackle from broad perspective. Interlink. Stretch and stretch and stretch. That is the thing, that is the strategy, UPSC strategy for any paper. Stretch and stretch and stretch.